Senior member of the Saudi royal family now warns that a deal on Iran's nuclear program could provoke a nuclear arms race with other states in the region. Prince Turki Al Faisal, Saudi Arabia's former intelligence chief, says, quote, "I've always said that whatever comes out of these talks, we will want the same if Iran has the ability to enrich uranium to whatever level. It's not just Saudi Arabia that's going to ask for that." Joining us now, Mark Dubowitz. He's executive director of the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Mark, good to have you here.
Thank you, Lou.
The prince's comments, would it provoke, as he says, a nuclear arms race in effect?
Lou, there's deep concern in the region and beyond that whatever the nature of this Iran deal is, that countries are going to demand the same terms. And remember, the Saudis finance the Pakistan nuclear weapons program. They've got a Pakistani nuclear weapon on order whenever they want it. And they've also just signed a big deal with South Korea to build nuclear reactors and establish a civilian nuclear program. And as we've learned from Iran and other situations, this is how countries eventually creep towards the nuclear weapons threshold.
And as we listen to the Secretary of State talking about those negotiations that could result in precisely what you've outlined, beyond that, he says that the United States has a deep respect for a fatwa that would limit the ambitions of Iran. Your response?
The Secretary is talking about a fatwa that was supposedly issued by Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. The problem, Lou, is that no one's ever seen this fatwa. It's never been published, unlike the thousands of other fatwas published by the Supreme Leader. No one's actually ever read it. And so we don't even know if it exists. And even if it does exist, he is the Supreme Leader for a reason. He can change his mind and decide to issue another fatwa that overrides the non-existent one and decide at a moment that he actually wants to develop nuclear weapons. So it's surprising that Secretary Kerry is putting so much stock in a non-existent fatwa.
And is it part of the reason you suppose that the Republican senators, 47 of them, sent a letter to the Iranian leadership making it very clear whatever that agreement that emerges from the discussions in Geneva will be simply an executive agreement, not a treaty between states?
That's exactly right. I think the senators are deeply concerned, and rightly so, that whatever agreement is signed will not be put to Congress as a treaty. It won't be put for a vote, and it will actually be taken to the UN Security Council, where it will become binding on future presidents and future Congresses. So in effect, we've outsourced the U.S. Constitution to the UN Security Council, which includes Russia and China, who are very close allies of Iran.
Would not all hell break loose if this president even intimated that he would be subjecting U.S. sovereignty to the United Nations?
Lou, you would hope so. You'd hope the American people would be outraged, but that's exactly the plan. And the interesting thing is, we didn't even know this was the plan. The only reason we are now aware of this is because of that letter that was sent, which precipitated a reaction from Iran's foreign minister, who actually was the one who told us that's exactly what they plan to do, to take an agreement to the UN Security Council, bind the United States politically, and make it very difficult for a future president, in the face of Iranian cheating and noncompliance, to walk away from this agreement.
Mark, as we wrap up here, we've just got about 30 seconds. Your judgment on the election in Israel. Netanyahu looks to be in trouble, the Likud party in trouble. Your thoughts?
I'm not going to comment on the politics of it, because trying to figure out Israeli politics is above my pay grade. But I will say this. I don't see any fundamental change in Israeli policy with respect to Iran. If Labour to win, Amos Yadlin would probably be the Minister of Defense. He's a tough hawk on these issues. And the fundamental problem is that there is a disagreement between the Obama administration and Israelis across the political spectrum about the nature and gravity of the Iranian threat.
Mark, thanks for being with us. It's been my experience, by the way, over the years, that when a person says it's above their pay grade, that usually means they don't want to answer the question. But I'm glad you're an exception in all of that. Mark, thanks so much. Mark Dubowitz.